You're watching WPTA-TV, 21 Alive News at 6, with Keith Edwards, Melissa Long, Chief Meteorologist Curtis Smith, and Dean Pantesi.
Good evening, I'm Melissa Long.
And I'm Keith Edwards. Topping tonight's news, Indiana's governor says it's for real. Indiana is in a budget crisis. As expected, revenues are down and the budget deficit continues to climb.
And today he announced 3 spending cuts. 21 Alive's Diana Lee went to Indianapolis for the announcement. Diana, this is really just the start of the belt tightening.
Yes, Melissa, you're right. Governor Frank O'Bannon says it is his responsibility to bring the state out of its financial problems, and he is stepping hard on the brakes now.
So fasten your seat belts. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
With that, the governor announced that he was cutting spending in 3 different areas. A state hiring freeze is now in effect. Out-of-state travel by state employees was being cut in half, and all capital projects not already under construction are now stopped, except for those dealing with safety or health issues.
Next time you need to make a call from a Verizon payphone, be sure to have some extra change. The price of a call on Verizon payphones has gone up to 50 cents from 35. Verizon is on the process right now of changing about 6,000 phones across the state. The company currently operates more than 70% of payphones in 33 states. Officials say the 43% hike is due to the popularity of cell phones.
Country Club, a good day for a golf outing with lots of sunshine and temperatures into the middle 70s. Tonight we'll see clear skies and temperatures down into the 60s by 9, and even by midnight we'll already be down into the 50s with those clear skies. Very cool temperatures coming tonight. 56 degrees to start off the day tomorrow. And
that honor this week to the DeKalb Lady Baron volleyball team, who last Tuesday night went into unbeaten Concordia and handed the talented Lady Cadettes their first and so far only loss of the year, 15-9 and 16-14, led by the efforts of Jackie Recker with help from everybody else. As a result, 21 Alive and Papa John's will visit the Lady Barons on Wednesday to honor them with a pizza feast from Papa John's. Congratulations to the DeKalb Volleyball Lady Barons, our 21 Alive Papa John's Team of the Week.
And in tonight's good news, an Ohio man is in the midst of a 3,400-mile odyssey to honor the Lincoln Highway. Craig Harmon dropped by Fort Wayne's Lincoln Museum today in a fire truck dubbed the Spirit of the Lincoln Way. Harmon is founder and director of the Lincoln Highway National Museum in Galion, Ohio, and he's hoping to make it to San Francisco by next month along America's first transcontinental highway.
Attack on the United States, the local perspective.
My aunt and my cousin worked for the World Trade Center and they were killed this morning, and I figured even if it's just a pint of blood, it's something else, somebody else that maybe needs it.
The terrorist strikes in America hit close to home here in Fort Wayne. I'm Keith Edwards.
And I'm Melissa Long. We'll return to ABC's coverage of today's tragic events in just a few minutes. Right now, though, we want to bring you up to date on the effects of the attacks here in our area and how local residents are reacting.
Now, first of all, air travel in and out of Fort Wayne International grinds to a halt in response to the deadly terrorist attacks in the eastern U.S. today. It's a story 21 Alive's Jeff Newmeyer has been following throughout the day. He joins us now live from the airport. The facility is closed right now, Jeff.
Indeed, Keith. Before 10 a.m., all flights in and out were canceled. And as you can see, the airport itself is blocked off and it's shut down till at least 5 a.m. tomorrow. After the terrorist attacks out east, precaution was the order of the day. Before the airport closure, security officers closely watched the terminal entrance, making sure no vehicles were left unattended out front. Later, a bomb-sniffing dog searched the buildings inside to ensure no explosives had been brought in on the sly. The word that kept coming up on the screens of flight monitors, canceled. Airport authority officials not sure when travel might resume.
Stay home, contact us or contact your airline. Also, we're going to put it on our website. They're welcome to take a look at that, and then we'll modify the website when something changes. But for right now, it doesn't do anybody any good to come out to the airport.
Tom and Stephanie Mueller from Harlan were ready to board a plane bound for Las Vegas for their one vacation of the year when they heard the World Trade Center towers had been rammed by jet planes.
We went in and started watching TV, and the Pentagon had a fire there, and then probably 10 minutes later they announced everything was closed till 5 o'clock tonight.
There was nothing to Las Vegas tonight, so pretty much we just have to cancel our trip now.
How hard is that? I mean,
disappointing, very disappointing, yeah, but we'll just have to go next spring, I guess. Hijack planes. I'm like, well, maybe I'm glad we're not on a plane right now.
We happened onto a group of 8 people expecting to fly to Maui, hoping now they can rebook flights on Wednesday. This man, who was flying from Columbus, Ohio to Chicago to Seattle, was not angry when his mid-air flight was diverted to Fort Wayne.
One of the greatest fears is unknown violence. And here we have no way really protecting ourselves other than taking the most basic of precautions. So I'm sure that people are terrified today.
At the neighboring Air National Guard base, vehicles trying to enter the grounds encountered tighter security, even checks for hidden bombs underneath. Virtually no deliveries were even accepted.
We are in an increased force protection situation, which of course was passed from the Pentagon to us as a result of the things that are going on out east. Beyond that, we're very hesitant to talk about our operation for obvious reasons.
Now again, the airport closed till at least 5 a.m. tomorrow. No flights till at least noon tomorrow. Stay tuned to 21 Alive for updates. Reporting live from the airport, I'm Jeff Newmeyer. Back to you, Keith.
Sorry, Jeff, I'm just going to say, which is the case for most every airport across this country. Thank you for that update. Sure. Melissa?
And Governor Frank O'Bannon says he is horrified and saddened by today's attacks at the World Trade Center and the Pentagon. He has put Indiana on a state of alert and says precautions are being taken to ensure public safety. Fort Wayne has also taken its own precautions, although Mayor Graham Richards says there's no indication our community is under any direct threat. There were no mass evacuations in Fort Wayne, but Richard has called for 24-hour protection at certain facilities in the city. The federal building in Fort Wayne was closed for the day.
We are, however, doing things as a preparatory and alertness measure in setting aside what we call ready alert situation, meaning that off-duty fire and police personnel are ready to respond.
Richard says the city is staying in constant contact with state and federal officials to determine how long the alert should remain in place.
Well, Fort Wayne's 4 hospitals are on standby, including St. Joe's Burn Center, in case any patients need to be flown here from the East Coast. At the same time, people flock to the American Red Cross to donate blood. In fact, 100 people who showed up to donate blood were given appointments for later this week, but they didn't mind saying they felt they needed to do something.
When I started watching the TV this morning and seeing everything that was going on, one of the first things that came into my mind was that they're going to need horrendous amounts of blood where this has happened, and I haven't donated blood in years, and I thought I'm going to go down and donate.
If you'd like to donate blood, call the Red Cross at 1-800-GIVE-LIFE. The person on the phone will help you make an appointment and find the nearest site for you to donate blood. People in the city of churches flocked to their places of worship today.
They were trying to find some sense of comfort in their faith. 21 Alive's Diana Lee is in downtown Fort Wayne at the Cathedral of the Immaculate Conception. Diana, many churches are open to people needing peace this evening.
That's right, Melissa. They were open this afternoon for moments of silent prayer. Others had services, as a matter of fact, in about an hour from now at 7 o'clock. The Immaculate Conception Catholic Church here in downtown Fort Wayne will be holding a special mass now to pray for the victims' families. But John Darcy, the bishop here, said that they're also praying for the entire country. Now, he says that through this all, we should remember that good outweighs evil.
My daughter and son-in-law both work in the Pentagon, and so we're very, very thankful. That's why we're here today.
Have you heard from her?
Yes. Yes, yes, we have. Everybody's okay.
Our son-in-law happened to be at a meeting and out of his office, otherwise he would have been in the area.
The Bass family, like others, are grateful that their loved ones are alive. One woman who attended Mass just got home from New York on Monday night.
Part of our trip was a trip to Ellis Island, and you know that the World Trade Center is the background of the skyline. So, and how dominant that is in the Manhattan skyline. So just to see that, and then the tragedy this morning. It's gone. Yes.
The great minds of history in the church, philosophers, theologians, have tried to explain evil. Nobody can. Christ didn't explain it entirely, but he went through it to give us hope. And he rose from the dead, and we believe that.
Across town, business owners spelled out what they are feeling.
And I just feel a normal sense of responsibility to say, God bless America. This is extremely unfortunate. A lot of lives have been lost, and this is our way of saying we have our prayers for those that have lost their lives, and we hope that corrective measures can be taken.
And silent prayers whispered at Mount Calvary.
Why would people come to a church to pray? Why can't they pray in their house or in their job? But people come to church, it's a peaceful time. It's the quiet, the solitude, to spend time with their Lord about what's all happening. I just don't know.
Their doors open all day for prayer. Now, numerous churches are holding special services, as you'll see in just a second, at Brookside Community. A special prayer service runs from now until 7 o'clock tonight. A 7 p.m. service is scheduled for the chapel and the Black Hawk Baptist churches. The First Assembly of God will hold a special family prayer time. That's tomorrow at 7, but their sanctuary will be open until about 9 tonight for private service. And as I said before, here in downtown Fort Wayne at the Immaculate Conception, in about 45 minutes, they will hold a special mass. And of course, all across the 21 Alive viewing area, we've gotten several calls from numerous churches saying that they will be holding special services tonight. So if you need spiritual comfort, you can probably go out to any of the churches that I mentioned or your own home church. Reporting live from downtown Fort Wayne, I'm Diana Lee. Back to you.
All right, very, very difficult day for many people. Thank you, Diana. Keith.
The U.S. financial markets came to a halt today after two planes crashed into the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center. All U.S. exchanges and markets closed for the day, and late this afternoon, officials of the New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ stock market, and American Stock Exchange said they would remain closed tomorrow. It's likely to be at least a few days before activity fully resumes because of the devastation to the World Trade Center and damage to surrounding businesses.
Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts. Terrorist attacks can shake the foundations of our biggest buildings, but they cannot touch the foundation of America. These acts shattered steel, but they cannot dent the steel of American resolve. America was targeted for attack because we're the brightest beacon for freedom and opportunity in the world, and no one will keep that light from shining.
Good evening to you. I'm Keith Edwards.
And I'm Melissa Long, and that was, of course, President Bush as he addressed the nation on what is the worst terrorist attack on U.S. soil in history.
What many believed would never happen here became reality this morning as two hijacked airlines crashed into the World Trade Center, eventually reducing the New York landmarks to rubble. The attack happened just after 8:30 New York time when the first airliner slammed into the North Tower, and then 18 minutes later, a second plane crashed into the South Tower. About an hour after that, a third plane crashed into the Pentagon. Untold numbers of people are dead, as well as tens of thousands injured. President Bush is calling for swift action against those responsible.
The search is underway for those who are behind these evil acts. I've directed the full resources of our intelligence and law enforcement communities to find those responsible and to bring them to justice. We will make no distinction between the terrorists who committed these acts and those who harbor them.
President Bush went on to say it will be business as usual for the federal government tomorrow and that every branch affected by today's attacks will be full and operational. Now, the attacks on New York and Washington today shocked the world, including all of us right here in Fort Wayne.
And the feelings of helplessness and anger that prevailed left many with nowhere to turn but to their faith. And a number of area churches held special services. 21 Alive's Diana Lee takes us to one prayer service.
As people are trying to grapple with the thousands of lives that have been torn apart, many turn to their faith. At Black Hawk Baptist Church, dozens of people gather to pray together.
In our opinion, as believers, there's really only one thing we can do, and that's pray for everybody that's been affected in our country and just pray for our leadership.
That's why we're here, is to offer a prayer for all those survivors and for those that passed away in this terrible fracas.
America needs to get back to God.
Those who came were asked to pray specifically for three things: for the president and our leaders, for the families whose lives were shattered, and for a spiritual renewal of Americans.
Very definitely. I think this is one thing that this nation, the people are going to be turning to prayer, and that's very important.
Tonight, the Congress saying, God bless America. This is the best nation in the world, and we need to pray for it.
Shock, beyond belief, could not believe it. But after thinking it all over and knowing it, I know God's in control, and we have to trust Him for what He has for us.
Yeah, I feel for them, because if it was me in that spot, I would want people praying for me too.
People sending up whispered prayers, hoping to find and give comfort. Diana Lee, 21 Alive News.
Well, emotions are obviously running all over the place across the country tonight, and many of us are thinking about how all of this is affecting our children.
Area schools are gearing up to deal with that subject tomorrow. Corinne Rose joins us now live in the newsroom to tell us how. Corinne?
Well, Keith and Melissa, I talked to Allen County superintendents tonight, and they tell me that they want to make life as normal as possible for their students tomorrow. At Fort Wayne Community Schools, I-STEP testing continues. There will be counselors on hand, and teachers will talk to their students in small groups. At East Allen County Schools, I-STEP testing continues as scheduled. Counselors will be on hand to talk to kids, and each school building will decide how to talk to its students about the attack. And over at Northwest Allen County Schools, Superintendent Steve Yeager tells me tonight that I-STEP testing will continue, but that the graduation qualifying exam has been moved to Friday. The district will also have counselors on hand to talk to the students, and the administrators already talked to students today. Now, Southwest Allen County Superintendent was not available for comment tonight. Keith and Melissa, we're all hoping it's back to business as usual tomorrow. Back to you.
All right, and so does everyone else. Thank you, Corinne. Well, the terrorist attacks on the U.S. have affected Americans in an unusual way.
Numerous people across the country, as well as those here in Fort Wayne, have been rushing to the gas station since this morning's events. And 21 Alive's Jeanette Liu joins us live from the BP station on Coliseum Boulevard. Jeanette, what is everyone's fear? Jeanette?
Melissa, folks are worried about soaring gas prices with the fear of a fuel shortage because of today's disasters. Now, people have been lining up throughout the day at service stations all across town. AAA officials in Fort Wayne say that at around noon, gas prices were about $1.60 a gallon. But by 2 this afternoon, prices rose to about $1.89 at most local stations. Across the state, prices have, for the most part, remained steady, except for one Indianapolis suburb, where the price went up to $4.79 a gallon. State leaders say people should not panic, and one petroleum industry official says at least in the short term, the attacks will likely have little impact on fuel supplies, although crude oil prices did increase shortly after the attacks. The PP stations are one of the few in Fort Wayne that have kept their prices down, and folks have been taking advantage of them.
I was told that the gas prices were going up, and when I was coming down Spy Run, I saw that this station still had their gas for $1.64, so I couldn't pass that by. I'm topping off my tank.
It's a panic situation. It's a horrific type of a thing that we're going through. I mean, it's nothing that we've ever seen before, so I think it's a natural reaction. But I think we'll live through it.
Now, there have been some problems, nothing serious, where folks have gotten upset at others for cutting in lines, but security for the BP stations have kept things in order. Now, the governor's office says Governor O'Bannon wants the petroleum industry and gas station owners to avoid panic and come together. Reporting live from Coliseum Boulevard, I'm 21 Alive's Jeanette Liu. Melissa?
Living in a country like America, it's easy to become complacent and feel as if this sort of thing would never really happen here. Students on the IPFW campus watched coverage on the day's events in stunned silence. Though many of the younger students expressed mostly disbelief over the attacks, others said it shadows a painful past.
This just scares me and makes me wonder if, we'll ever go to war again, or, because there's a lot of young men that are here that would have to go, and since I lived through it once before, I noticed some of the kids downstairs who are much younger were kind of glib and not, too worried about it. And for me, it brings back memories.
Another student told us he will soon not forget today's events and the havoc a few men have caused.
Attack on the United States. The local perspective. Now, here's Keith Edwards and Melissa Long.
Good evening, I'm Melissa Long.
And I'm Keith Edwards. Beginning our special edition of your 6 o'clock news, flights have still not resumed at the Fort Wayne Airport.
And that may be the case until tomorrow. 21 Alive's Corinne Rose joins us now live from the airport with more. Corinne, any planes in the air there?
Oh, not yet, Melissa. Now, we have received word that any of those flights that had been grounded yesterday by the FAA, because of those attacks out on the East Coast, they have received authorization to now continue to their destinations. But any planes that might have been diverted to Fort Wayne will not be taken off tonight.
We're going to send you back down Ferguson Road to the 5th Road, come in the back side to the parking.
Traffic is not allowed near the terminal building, and only passengers with tickets will be allowed inside. But one man we talked to said he wasn't going to wait to get a flight home to California.
I'm going to keep calling Amtrak, and hopefully along the way there'll be a station that I can buy a ticket at and dump the car off and keep your fingers crossed.
Canadians Norm Parkinson and Gino Montavon have been stuck in Fort Wayne since their business conference on Monday.
Give them a call, see what they say, and then we'll get a hotel room. It's quite frustrating. We're away from our families, so we were only supposed to be here for 2 days, and now it's getting on 4 days. So, of course, we're going to start running out of clothes and all that kind of stuff, So, it's pretty bad.
But they say their families are patient.
Yes, they do. They understand. They know the problem, and it's a big tragedy. So anything else doesn't count as much.
While some planes were diverted to Fort Wayne and have been cleared to fly, they won't for some time. Every airport must pass stringent security requirements first. Fort Wayne will contact the FAA when those requirements are complete, hopefully by Thursday morning.
Whether we meet our security requirements here is only half the story. The other airports where they're going to may not have. So we're asking all the passengers to check with the airlines. I know it's frustrating. I know it's hard to get through, but that's going to be their best source of information. The airlines are the only one they're going to know when they can resume flights to those cities.
Airlines will be allowed to fly empty planes to get them where they need to be, so you may see planes taking off from Fort Wayne, but they will not have passengers on board.
Now, we have just been briefed by the executive director of the airport, and he updated us on 3 different things that I feel I should pass along to you. They are closing the short-term parking lot for the unforeseeable future. That's because the FAA has placed a regulation as to how close cars can park to the terminal building, and the short-term parking lot, unfortunately, just over my left shoulder, is going to be too close to the terminal building. So short-term parking will be closed, and the entrances into the long-term parking lots will be rerouted. So if you're going to come out here to the airport, you're going to need to just follow the signs. There is also going to be an additional police presence on top of the police presence as they have here at the airport. The executive director of the airport said he is working with city and county police, and so you can expect to see additional uniformed officers out here. They hope to have approval to open up the airport by noon tomorrow, and of course that depends on the FAA and whether the FAA gives that approval that the airport has met all of those stringent security requirements that they feel they would be able to handle flights coming in and out of Fort Wayne. Now, of course, you can check on the status of your flight by going to the airport's website. That's at www.fwairport.com. Reporting live from the airport, I'm 21 Alive's Corinne Rose. Melissa, back to you.
Corinne, did you get any particular perspective from the Canadian travelers, especially in light of the reports that some of the hijackers may have come into this country from Canada?
I did, and I thought that was interesting that I was able to speak to 2 Canadian men, and they said that everybody feels the same. And I said, do you feel differently because you're an international member of the community? And he said, no, when something like this happens, that borders don't mean a thing. And he said that all of his thoughts and prayers, and all of his countrymen's thoughts and prayers, are with America right now. Back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Corinne. A Fort Wayne woman receives news that every family waiting on words of a loved one is dreaming about. Marcy Debert's son, Alan Moreland, was a partner in the law firm on the 42nd floor of one of the Twin Towers. Debert watched the terrorist attack on the World Trade Center on television. At her doctor's office, she knew her son might be inside. Luckily, when she got home, all of her fears were laid to rest.
My son left a message, says, "I'm okay." He proceeded to tell me the reason he was okay was that he had stopped for breakfast and he had missed it by about 20 minutes.
Alan, who is a graduate of Concordia High School, told his mom that on any other day he would have been at work at the time of the attacks. And whether you knew someone who was a victim of the attacks or just feel like you need to talk to someone about what happened, then officials at Park Center are waiting to help. They're holding support disaster group sessions now through Friday from 1 to 9 p.m. Adults and children are invited to take part in the free counseling meetings at the facility, which is located in the 900 block of East State Boulevard. Well, even miles away from where the attacks took place, it's hard to escape all that has happened with the reminders that folks are seeing everywhere they go.
21 Alive's Jeanette Liu tells us how those in Fort Wayne are showing their support for the many who have been affected by yesterday's events.
The TV may be turned off, but we are still reminded of the loss our nation has suffered by the newspaper headlines, Day of Death and Acts of Evil. On WOWO Radio, Dave Macy of Macy in the Morning spoke to callers about the tragic events.
We are at war. We were attacked yesterday. Our way of life has been challenged. What we hold sacred has been challenged.
I think our nation should be grieved. I think our nation should be angry, and I think we should expect our country to retaliate in a fashion that does not show weakness.
Many are showing the nation's strength through signs of support and American flags flown at half-staff. The Kmart stores in Fort Wayne have sold numerous flags and have moved them up front to make it easier for customers to find. One Fort Wayne resident placed a flag on the garage door of her house and a sign saying, "No more terrorism in our country."
If we could all just put our flags out and just say, no more. We're unified, and we feel that we can't keep losing innocent lives over something like this.
One class of 4th and 5th graders at Washington Elementary School also displayed their patriotism and concern.
The students wanted to show the community their support, how they feel about what has happened. They are aware of it, and this is a way for us to let everyone know, yes, we do know what has happened, and we care, and we're thinking of the families that have been involved.